Crowdfunded Cures. I'm a patent attorney and lawyer, but also did biology, so I'm kind of a frustrated scientist, but never really made it into it. But this is a chance to bring all that together. So today I'm going to be talking about pay-for-success contracts and IP-NFTs, which are a new financial model for developing public good medicines. So as I was saying, we're from Crowdfunded Cures. Our mission is to lower healthcare costs by repurposing off-patent drugs and nutraceuticals with these financial instruments called pay-for-success contracts. So at the moment, healthcare costs are soaring. It's around 20% of GDP for the US. And also there's a principle called E-Rooms law, where basically every new drug produced is costing over $1 billion now, probably about $3 billion, and it's exponentially increasing. Generic drugs can actually help. So the issue is actually missing incentives under the current patent-centric model. At the moment, large pharmaceutical companies will never fund phase 2 or 3 clinical trials unless they can secure a monopoly price. So as a result, you've got safe, low-cost, and effective treatments that are being ignored. So basically, 90% of US prescriptions are actually off-patent or generic drugs. And the issue is method of use patents can't prevent off-label use by doctors. So basically, any doctor can prescribe an old drug for a new use off-label. And therefore, new uses for off-patent drugs are essentially non-rivalrous and non-excludable public goods. So there's this considerable market failure. As I mentioned before, developing a new drug is around $3 billion. It takes about 15 years. A repurposed generic drug is about 100 times cheaper. You could do it for sort of 30 million, and it could, because you can start phase 3 clinical trials immediately, it can take about 10 times faster as well, so maybe even 3 years to get FDA approval. So there's this massive opportunity, missed opportunity, because basically all pharma is focused on finding new patented drugs, and there are like different kinds of things that don't fit within that patent-centric model, like off-patent drugs, diet supplements, and just non-profitable therapies generally, like antibiotics. As I was saying, there's significant cost savings from using generics. Generics are basically available at a marginal cost of supply, so they save around $2.2 trillion to US taxpayer in 2019. So if there's a way to basically channel some of those cost savings into generic drug repurposing, you can create a scalable business model with plenty of upside for everyone. So there's a lot of examples of repurposing opportunities. It's not just like science fiction, so oxyphenobutazone for drug-resistant tuberculosis, low-dose naltrexone for chronic pain, clomipramine for brain tumors, simvastatin for MS, tetrathiomolybdate for metastatic prevent recurrence of breast cancer, BCG vaccine for type 1 diabetes, also can be used for COVID, repurposed for COVID to boost innate immunity. Dichloroacetate got quite a bit of press for neuroblastoma. IV vitamin C, it's a bit controversial, but there's some real science behind it. You should look it up. So it creates a hypoxic environment for cancer cells. And then fluvoxamine for COVID-19, it's been shown to reduce risk of death by about 90% in a Brazilian phase 3 clinical trial. The big elephant in the room is around plant medicine. So cannabis flower, you can't really enforce a monopoly price over cannabis because it just grows in the fields. But we've got an opioid crisis that's about $1 trillion a year. Also, psilocybin mushrooms can be used. There's a particular treatment protocol, I'm sure, that can treat depression. And depression is also, a massive health burden, cost burden as well. So the issue is that clinician behavior is basically driven by FDA approval, and you need large randomized controlled trials. So, the FDA only will listen to you if you've got a large RCT, and also doctors will only prescribe your drug with large RCTs. And as I was saying, you can only get that funded if it's a patentable drug. You aren't going to get government funding large phase 3 RCTs. If they do, it's extremely rare. So what's the solution? Basically, we're looking at the concept of retroactive public goods funding, which you could think of basically like a prize model. So in this particular model, we're looking at, we've got 3 stakeholders, the doctor, the investor, and the insurer, and they want to work together to help prescribe off-patent drugs. So the solution is that the investor basically puts up the money, researchers do the clinical study, and if the repurposing is successful, then they get an outcome payment from the payer, which could be government, charity, philanthropy, or the public. So the advantages versus direct, currently they basically rely on government funding to do these clinical trials. The advantages are you transferring risk to the public, to the private industry. It's also better technology. Pharma is better equipped. The free market is better at aggregating capital than centralized government organizations, and it's also lower cost. So you've got repurposed generics, a lot cheaper than patented drugs. So massive cost savings for generics as well, as I was saying, 2.2 trillion. So why DAOs? Basically, you can create these open source pharma IP-NFTs that allow fractionalized ownership, and open source pharma NFTs create a market for public good medicines, and DAOs also create a way to basically transact for a lower cost globally in a transparent, secure way. So looking at Bored Ape NFTs, pictures of monkeys, 2 billion market cap. What would be the market cap for an NFT that represented a safe and effective off-patent treatment protocol for a specific disease? So at the moment, we're looking to do a pilot for rapamycin, repurposing off-patent rapamycin. Dr. Brad Stanfield, he's looking at basically doing a clinical trial versus 400K, and we're looking to raise a prize working with VitaDAO to do a generic drug repurposing prize. We've currently secured 100K, we're looking for $1 million. And any questions, you can contact me at Crowdfunding Cures or reach out on Twitter. Thanks.
Great.